Plugin of the week is the Universal Audio E-Channel Strip. This is a release with 9.1 software, UA. I believe that is correct. And what we have here is a new E-channel. What they've also introduced, if you're a long-term user of the UA system, then you may go all the way back to the UAD 4K channel strip. So this was the original SSL E-Series emulation. Then they came out with a newer emulation, which is now called the Legacy Series. And now what we have is a full one that also brings in the Unison technology here for the 4,000 channel strip. So if you didn't have this before, you now will have this or have the potential to get this as part of your collection. Actually, if you purchase this, actually it comes with it, and you get the Legacy version. And so you'll have that. So I'm going to take these guys away because there's no reason to look at them. Well, there are a couple of differences. So I'll hold on to this one because these two are similar. Basically, what you'll get here, in addition to having just the same basic functionality in terms of the signal flow and all of that, the filters, instead of being here or down here, now you have instead of just a line input, you have a line input and a mic input, phaser burst, which works with the mic setting, right, and the line setting. So you have that. You have the ability to go to the transformer input. So you have some extra input features here that will help you to detail the sound and make it better. And they actually emulated through the whole process. This also includes the Jensen transformer that was part of the original E-Series circuit on the preamp. So this switch doesn't actually exist on the real hardware, but it's just part of the circuit path. And so what you essentially have is you have the ability to use this as a Unison pre. And the way that that'll show up is if you go over to your console and go over here to the Unison channel strip, you can look at the available selections. So as of this video, we have the API Vision strip, the Manley Voxbox 1073, 88RS, and now the E-Series channel strip along with the UA610A and B. So you can enable the plugins there, and then what will happen is the functionality will be duplicated between the hardware and the software. So this will give you the ability to switch between line and mic input. You have the phaser burst switch, the pad, etc., and then the mic gain will kind of follow between the hardware and the software. So that's part of the Unison technology. So by having that, you have that. Yet you can still use the functionality here just purely in a mix, and that's what I'm going to kind of show you here. And then otherwise, when you have this is actually similar to the actual layout of the channel going top to bottom. Actually, in the original, the filters were just below the input, and there was a split button there that would allow you to put those filters in right after the input selection. Then you have the dynamic section and then the EQ down at the bottom. So we'll get into a little bit of the signal flow. And then they did the whole signal path all the way through the fader. So you're getting the whole circuit here, and you're getting the additional control plus an output level control. So this will have some of the coloration that comes with the electronics of the BCA fader, and then you'll also have the output control, which is just a digital thing, which is added in, power button here to turn it on and off, and you're pretty much good to go. So the additional features are the fader here. The hold is just for the meter that you see here, and otherwise most of the other usable functionality is the same. So you could use this because this is going to eat up a bit more CPU cycles on your more important channels, and use the legacy channel strip, which will give you the same functionality on the channels for less important elements of your mix. Okay, so just to kind of zoom in here, let's just kind of take a quick peek. So what we have is a flip that goes between mic and line. Okay, so actually on the console itself, they do call it a flip switch phase inversion, and a -20 dB pad that works only with the mic input. Now, if you're using it in a mix setup, you also get this coming in. So here, if I just take, let me just solo up a sound here. Right, so I can actually run this like it's actually driving through a mic input instead of a line input. And if I were to match the gain there, I would say and you could get the sound with and without the transformer. Right, so you can actually play with the coloration of the sound if you wanted to do that, and go to mic input. It also will work effectively for overdriving stuff. So you know, in that case, you could bring down the fader or bring down the output level, and then drive it, and that would give you the ability to kind of overload the channel coming in and get that preamp distortion. You know, just as like for a guitar or whatever effect you want to do. As far as when you get past the input, the signal flow will vary based on a few different things. Here, if you go to the filters and you select the pre-dynamic, which would be a typical signal flow, then what will happen is that this will put the filters directly after the input stage here. And so if you put the compressor in, for example, this will light up. So then the signal flow will be input, filters, compressor gate, and then the EQ. If you leave this out, then the filters are after the 4-band EQ. Okay, so just from just like a simple standpoint from there. What you have on the individual dynamics is a fast attack. The fast attack on the compressor is 3 milliseconds, slow attack is 30 milliseconds. So those are the two fixed times that you get, and the characteristics. And then you get ratio, threshold, release, release time. The numbers are never exact, and every channel is a little bit different, but these give you like guiding points to go to if you're looking for a specific release timing. Then you have a gate. The gate can be an expander, so if you put the expander in, you get an expander and then two different gate characteristics. There were variations of these. This actual compressor here is what they call the gold can VCA, which is like a DBX compressor. And the DBX gold can, the reason why they call it the gold can is the actual metal cap that covers the VCA component is colored in gold. That's the basic. That's the only reason why they call it that. And so that VCA had a certain characteristic sound. It's like a very aggressive kind of compression, VCA compression. So quite cool. So similar to the DBX, but definitely a different characteristic. DBX like 160. Very different in that the attack release, the attack characteristics to me are what makes the big difference, or the biggest difference there. So you know, you get some functionality out of that. On the compressor side, if you hit the link, this is on a stereo channel. So if you have it on a stereo instantiation, what it'll do is it'll link the gain reduction to make it even on the left and right side. This is somewhat true to the original, where it basically would link the gain reduction between two channels. So if one side of a piano, you know, the person was wailing away on the top end of the piano, that might trigger that mic to compress more than the other side, and you might get this off sound, and this way it would keep it both ways. Otherwise, you can get a little bit more of the natural movement between left, right, and a stereo signal. So you decide. You could just basically use it. It's a subtle effect, sometimes still more obvious than others. On the EQ itself, you have a high shelf. Now, there are two modes for this. There's a black mode, so let me put the EQ in here, or the brown mode, or brown knob. So the black knob is a little bit more aggressive. The original was the brown knob. So this is what came out with the original console in the late 70s, 79, I believe. It does change some things. So the boost plus minus is plus minus 15. When you go to the black knob, I believe it changes to plus minus 18. Part of the black knob, essentially the way they designed it is there's a singular motherboard which has most of the signal flow attached to it and a lot of the buffering, and then each of the different components were on separate cards. So you had an amplifier card that would have the line amps and mic amps and all of this, you know, the transformer and all the stuff for that on it, and then it would just snap right into a little edge board. So it would kind of fit into a slot. One single screw would kind of hold it into place on the motherboard, and then you would just work. Same with the compressor, same with the EQ, same with the VCA, right? So this is all these things that connect and communicate with the computer and all of that sort of stuff. So this, then they could actually change the circuit board of that card, and you could take any console, pop that in, change the caps, and you would get a different EQ. And there were variations of the EQ, more than just black knob and brown knob. There were many revisions and variations, and they worked with engineers to make these modifications. And in this particular one, they work with George Martin to create this EQ. So it gave you more aggressive filters, 18 dB per octave instead of 6 dB per octave, and more aggressive boost cut, which is plus minus 18. So the graphics don't change when you say it. The only thing that you see that changes is the black knob and the brown knob. So you get the gray caps here in the brown knob mode, and the light gray caps here in the black knob. I generally prefer the black knob. It's a bit cleaner, more aggressive sound. The brown knob is a little more musical, so depending upon what it is that you're working on, from an SSL perspective, you kind of choose which one that you like. You could also feed the EQ into the dynamic sidechain. So what that does is it feeds the EQ as a trigger to the sidechain for the compressor gate section. And you can also set this to be pre-dynamics. Now this is kind of interesting because the way that the SSL is configured is that the EQ is sort of central to the signal path, and on the original console you have channel in and channel out buttons which put the compressor either pre or post EQ. And so they've just kind of done it the opposite here, but it's the same effect. You could either put the EQ pre or post. Neve consoles, by contrast, like on the 88RS, the dynamic section is central, and then you make the EQ pre or post dynamics. You know, just a little tidbit of extra information there. As I said, you got the fader here, fader emulation. The hold is just for the metering. So you see a DBFS meter here, and it's just put the hold on the meter itself. So it has no effect on the audio signal. It's not a limiter or anything like that. Yeah, so let's just kind of go through just like a couple of quick sounds here, and then and have a listen. So you know so let me just kind of zoom out here. Take my master channel and then zoom back in. So one of the things I always like to do, one of my favorite things, is to work with the compression. To me, most of the best ratio, like the sweet spot in the ratio, is usually between that 3 to 8 in terms of ratio. And you know, I'll set kind of a slow attack. Right, this original signal, I apologize, was gated, so I could go here with a fast attack. You'll see you'll get obviously more gain reduction. It'll kind of do this to kind of give a little bit more of a vibe here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat my way through this. I'm going to copy the settings here. I'm going to paste this over, and I'm going to suspend my groups here for a second, which you won't see. And close up some of these sends just so I can kind of shrink the display here, and then kind of move on to the snare channel here. Oh, it looks like I put that out of target mode. So if I paste those settings into So the compressor has an automatic makeup, and so I'm going to go back here for a second. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive up and then pull this back. You'll always get more output gain than input gain. And then, so what I'll do here with the compressor, just to kind of show a little bit. Right, and then I'll let me just take out that legacy channel, And then what I'll do is I'll just kind of shape this a little bit. So what you have is a bell curve. So it changes this. What you have is on the 4-band EQ, you have a high shelf, high mid parametric, full parametric, low mid full parametric, and then a low shelf. And the two shelves can be turned into a bell. If you use the G series console had a ×3 and divide by 3 switch, which would work shifting the frequency of the low mid band and the high mid band up or down, giving you full parametrics from like 67 cycles up to like 21K. But then you're stuck with shelves. So, I don't know, you pick your poison. But here what we could do is we can kind of boost and then kind of work here and let's see if we can kind of pull a bit of grit out of the snare drum. I'll go over here, take a little bit of that, and then I'll work with take these guys. So with the black knob selection here, just kind of applying a little bit of filtering down on the bottom. So what I'm getting is a bit of harshness up here in the top end. Just a bit of harshness in the cymbals, so I try to remove a little bit of that, shift that a little, bit higher and away from some of the harshness area there. The thing about this is that you can use pretty radical settings on this, and oh wait a minute, I think I was on the wrong EQ there. So hold on 1 second. Yeah, so it's taking a little bit of that away. Let me go back over here. I thought I switched over to the overheads. Okay, that would explain why I wasn't hearing it. Warm that up, bring a little bit of air. That makes a lot more sense. Right. So here I could just kind of bring out a little bit of the harshness. Sometimes a cool way of kind of like evening out a bass here with a compressor is to take on this, work with a kind of fast attack, very light ratio. Just create a little bit of evening out of the tone, or rounding out the tone. classic where you use the compressor with a fast release, high ratio, and get it to kind of pump. I'm going to switch this to black. Yeah, so obviously there's a gain thing. This is actually very true to the original, which is like you would always get more gain on the output of this. We could make up for it on the faders there. This is also really cool because for guitars you can really be kind of push pretty aggressively. So let me just see if I can cue up to a place where. So we're here with the EQ. This is to me where like the EQs really kind of shine. So kind of call the two of these guys up together where you can really that took. All right, let me try it again. Copy the settings. Come over here. Ah, sometimes it doesn't appear. Really gives you like a gritty, punchy kind of sound. And then if you wanted to feed that in pre-dynamic, you can sometimes that into the compressor, you get the tightness. That keeps like that tightness, you know, and so it's really, really cool for that. I love this, you know, on guitars and things like that. So let's just kind of go over here. There's like a nice Rhodes. So if we take a look at the Rhodes channel, we can kind of, let's see, maybe I'll go with a faster attack, lighter ratio. Longer release, get like a nice little balancing there with it. And then, let's see here. We can kind of push like a nice warming tone in here with the, right, kind of focus in on that low end. This is where the brown knob will come in really handy. So you can kind of get like a nice, low, rich, warm tone. Kind of clean up a little bit of the buzziness there on the top with a low pass filter.
I'll carry you home, leaving again.
Sorry, driving the gain here a little bit too much here.
You belong again, oh yeah. And I'll find you again. Pretend, oh yeah. And I'll find you.
Here we can bring in a little bit of air up on the top. It's all top-end stuff on this, so there's probably not a lot we're going to be able to do down here, so I can put can kind of filter off some of that extra noise down on the bottom. I just happen to know the part. I know it doesn't kind of play. Here, do a similar thing to what we did with the bass. Might have to drive.
Leaving again, I'll find you again. Oh, oh.
Okay, so here we could do some interesting things here.
Yeah, and I'll find you again.
This is probably not the place actually with this type of vocal to overdrive it. I'll
You
change
belong
tack here a little bit.
again. Oh yeah. And I'll find you again.
So we can go here and kind of work a little bit with
Pretend, oh yeah. And I'll find you again. No river too wide or mountain too high. I won't let goodbye be a final reply. Baby, we're far from the end. So come home, baby, let me help you believe in you and me, come what may.
Just try to open that up a little.
Yeah, 'cause I will stay here for as long as you need. Don't keep pushing away, 'cause the stories they tell ya are just meant to scare ya from being here with me where you belong. Tell me what would I do if robbed of your smile? So if you now tell me you're gone.
Alright, so anyway, just to give you like a quick idea of what this is like. So, I also have a missing channel here. So let me just kind of put this on the background vocals. This would actually be just one quick final wrap up here.
Again, oh yeah.
I'll find you again.
Here we can
make believe or lie
again
pretense. I'll find you again.
Here, that's cleaner air. Maybe what I could do is add a little.
Baby, we're far from the end.
All right, so we got a little air in there.
If you say you're leaving again, I'll find you again. No make believe or lying pretense. I'll find you again.
Something with a quicker release. Create a little bit, kind of get it to pump a little bit. All right. Let's hear that in the context of the
From the end. So come home, baby, let me help you believe in you and me, come on, babe. Yeah, 'cause I will stay here for as long as you need. Don't keep pushing away, 'cause the stories they tell ya are just meant to scare ya from being here with me. Tell me what would I do if robbed of your
can see how quick and easy it is. I've spent a lot of time. I grew up using E-Series consoles. Started out and straight on to G-Series consoles, and then kind of blossomed off into there, and sort of went back in time to vintage APIs and Neves and the sort. So I really understand this, but it's a very, very powerful console, and there is like a nice Brit warmth in the mid range that's still really gritty, like amazing for working like with radio mixes. I used to do a lot of work for radio mixes that were specific to radio release, and the SSL consoles were just perfect for that, really brilliant for that. And that aggressiveness with the compression is really powerful. Throw on top of that now that you can add the Unison preamp into all of this, and you got yourself a pretty powerful little channel strip. So this is like this is a great one. It's like a great, nice sonic improvement over the now legacy E-Series channel strip, and with the addition of some of the features in the Unison pre, it's definitely worth the investment on this one. So really cool one. An elongated demo, but worth it just to kind of go through and see me kind of work some of the basic sounds in there. You could just spend like a whole time with guitars and just really chew them up and reshape them into things. It's amazing how powerful the EQ and the compression and everything and the way it works together. So there it is. Plug-in of the week. Universal Audio E channel strip.